Hey guys, it's Rex. So I'm back again with test 2, number 21. What I want you to do is get out the red book and open up to this question, number 22 in test 2. Read it, but pause right before you do. So that way, press play as soon as you've read this question, and I will dive back into it. Awesome. So we're back at it again with another word problem strategy. We have right here a park that is shaped like Utah for some reason. And there is a fountain in this park. Now, they want us to find the location of the fountain. Where in this shape is the fountain? They've given us the following information. The fountain is somewhere on this line between points D and B. And in fact, it is exactly halfway between points D and B. All right? We know that. Also, we know that this park is really peculiar and perfectly mathematically balanced, that all the borders either run perfectly north to south or perfectly east to west. You know what that means? We know that all of these angles are right angles. Every single one of them. What that tells me, and by looking at the answer choices, they are using some fractions there. But this reminds me of a graph, of basically a grid. East to west, down here, this kind of reminds me of the x-axis. This point A being 0. And then this, A to F, reminds me of the y-axis. So what we're going to do is we are going to plot some numbers in here to find what is the halfway point between B and D and the exact location in the park of the fountain. Now here's the thing. I'm going to have to use the midpoint formula. And I know on top of the fact we got a word problem strategy, I'm guessing for most of you this would be a great question to skip when you survey the math test and to do in the second sweep, the work portion of the test. I'm going to give this to you now. It's going to be a great reminder on the midpoint formula, something you don't see too often, but they love to slap it in these difficult questions. Let's get ready. So we have all of this information. And now that we know, we're going to consider this park to be like on a graph. It's kind of all here in quadrant 1. We can pretend like there's tick marks down here. And point B is way down here. And we can represent all of these points kind of with points on a graph, right? So if on way down here, point B would be on point 10 for x, but look, it's on the y-axis of 0. But how do we find what D is? We actually don't have two of our sides, which is DC and CB. They are not defined for us yet. We have to use a little bit of deduction here. So, if the entire height of the park is 12, E to D is 3, what is the remainder here, the line of BC? Well, 12 minus that 3, if all the angles are right angles, we know that BC equals 9. Also, through the same process over here, I don't know what CD is. I know the whole width of the park is 10. This width is 7. So I'm going to take 10 minus 7. I will find that CD is also 3. Now I know all the sides. So all of these points, I know I can graph exactly where they are. A is at 0, 0. F, way up here, is at 0, 12. I can do that for all of them. But I want to know what is the midpoint on this graph of the park between B and D. Okay, awesome. So now we know what points we have on the graph. So let's check out where is B. B, we already said, is at x 10, y 0. D is at, let's check out D. So D, if we want to find the x value, D is on a perpendicular line. We have a right angle. E and D are equally far away from y. How far away is E from y? 7 units. So D is also going to have an x value of 7. And the same idea here for what is its y value. See, D and C they're at right angles to one another, so they're both equal distant from the x-axis, giving them a same y value. So that means they both have a y value of 9. And I'm going to now use the midpoint formula, something you may have forgotten. What we do is we find a point on the graph by finding x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. I'm going to fill this in using b and d. So if b is my first point, d is my second. The first thing I'm going to have here is 10, that's my x1. x2 is 7, 10 plus 7 over 2. y1 is 0, plus y2 is 9. All of that over 2. I'm going to simplify this down a little bit. I got 17 over 2. That's my x point. 9 over 2. Now, let's think about this. How could we simplify it a little bit? We could change this. 17 doesn't divide by 2. But think about one less. If it was 16 over 2, 16 over 2 is 8. This is 8 with an extra 1. So really, this is 0.8 and 1/2. This one over here, if this was 1 less, it'd be 8 over 2, and that equals 4. We're just a little bit more than 4. 1 more half than 4, and we are at 4 and 1/2. Our point is 8.5 by 4.5. So 8.5 east, 4.5 north. So that point ends up giving us the correct letter answer of D. Great job.